All right, man, peace. So now this is going to be part two on the situation, the subplot of the Colin Kaepernick narrative between Ray Lewis and Kaepernick's handler, Ness Nitty.
Let's get to the latest on Colin Kaepernick. Back in July, there was speculation that the Ravens could sign Kaepernick following Joe Flacco's injury. The Ravens ultimately didn't sign Cap, and Ray Lewis posted a video telling Kaepernick to let his play speak for itself. That prompted Kaepernick's girlfriend Ness Nitty to tweet an image showing Lewis hugging Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti next to an image of Samuel L. Jackson's character from Django Unchained.
Yo, that shit is so disrespectful.
Lewis spoke about that yesterday. Take a listen.
When me and Steve Bisciotti was talking, this is what we're talking about, Judy. We're talking about giving this kid an opportunity to get back in the National Football League. Look, this is what I wanted to share with people. I have been fighting for this kid behind the table like nobody has.
No, you have been following Jim Brown's orders. Jim Brown sent your ass out there like a lapdog to go fish out Colin Kaepernick. Probably unbeknownst to you because you're kind of simple-minded. You know, you went out there, you tried to use your connection with the Baltimore Ravens to try to fish out Kaepernick. You wanted to know if his quote-unquote mindset was where you think it needed to be to play football, because you're a cult member. The cult that you're a part of, Ray Lewis, is the NFL, right? You worship that sport. You look at it as a religion. All that stuff that you talk about going to church, that stuff is a cover for your real religious beliefs, that being the football or the NFL. All right? All you are is a man caught in the middle. You're a pawn on a chessboard being used and maneuvered by Jim Brown and also by Ness Nitty. That's why she sent out that tweet once again. That was so that she could manipulate Ray Lewis, because it's just a battle of handlers.
Nobody had this kid a job in the National Football League. I can raise my hand and say I did. I've never been against Colin Kaepernick, but I am against the way he done it.
He said, I am against the way he done it. I mean, look, just come out and say that you think that it was asinine that he wants to get down on one knee in front of the flag. You think that the race issue needs to be handled economically. And that's, you have the right to your opinion. You have the right to your stance. Once again, let me say this and be very clear. Ray Lewis and Jim Brown have done far more for so-called black people than Colin Kaepernick has done or ever will do. I promise you that. And I have no horse in the race. All right. All these guys are boule. But they've done far more for so-called blacks than Colin Kaepernick has done or will do. And way, way more than Shannon Sharp ass has ever done. All Shannon Sharp do is talk shit on TV and go home and work out and plow out his little white woman. All right.
Then his girl goes out and puts out this racist gesture and doesn't know.
To be clear, whose girl? Whose lady?
Colin Kaepernick. That she doesn't know. We're in the back office about to try to get this guy to sign.
She don't give a shit. She don't give a shit if he gets signed or not. All right. Right now, she's using Kaepernick as a tentacle, as a pawn for the so-called Black Lives Matter movement. All right. That's why he's been told to stand down. Kaepernick is not allowed to speak right now. He's been told to stand down, or he's been given his program to stand down.
Steve Bisciotti has said himself, how can you crucify Ray Lewis when Ray Lewis is the one calling for Colin Kaepernick?
We're joined once again by Rob Parker, but first, Shannon, what's your reaction?
As I stated earlier, Rob, the tweet that Colin Kaepernick's significant other, Nessa, sent out is unacceptable. I don't care the type of disagreement. I don't care what you thought of the person that said something that you viewed as negative to your significant other. You can't do this.
Sure, she can do that. She feels like she can do whatever she wants. She's a so-called liberated modern-day female. All right, AKA an agent of chaos. Look, man, you brothers are going to start adding that term to your lexicon. I promise you that when you keep coming on this channel. Because most of these people, that's what they are. They are agents of chaos. They get off on bringing confusion into their own life and into other people's life. Ness Nitty, as I've said numerous times, I have little to no doubt is an asset. Right? A few years ago, this broad was on MTV, Girl Code or Guy Code, whatever the hell it was, talking about how many men she slept with. Now all of a sudden she's getting invited to meetings at the UN, and she's a radio host at Hot 97. Like, really? Okay. And she happens to be destroying, or she has destroyed, the San Francisco 49ers locker room by sleeping with Alden Smith to get to her true target, MK asset Colin Kaepernick. Just my view on the situation.
So let's.
But point being, once again, you can't tell most of these so-called liberal women what they can and cannot do. The only thing that you have the power to do is omit them from your life and tell them, you can do whatever you want, but you cannot affect my bottom line. So you have to go.
Let's just put that on the record. I 1000% denounce this tweet.
And I agree with you.
With that being said, it's hard for me to believe, of all the reasons that you're going to look past the anthem protest, and all the backlash that you could possibly get, and this was the straw that broke the proverbial camel's back.
Why wouldn't that be the straw that broke the camel's back? Why wouldn't that be the straw that broke the camel's back? You supposedly, at least this is according to Ray Lewis's narrative, you're sticking out your neck for this guy, and his woman sent out a tweet showing you as a slave, and the owner of the Baltimore Ravens as a slave master. Who the fuck gonna help you then? They were supposed to look at this and say, oh, well, I understand. Come on in anyway, Colin, even though you just called me a slave master, and Ray, you just called Ray, the number one buck on the plantation. Yeah, we're gonna keep helping you now. Look, man, Shannon is in his own world. Look, I know Shannon has a role to play. You guys are going to come to understand and find out that a lot of what Shannon is saying is really because he's caught up in the social media pro-black vortex. He loves all the positive tweets that he's getting from these pro-black revolutionaries on the internet. And he's really starting to play a role. Do I believe that he believes what he's saying? A lot of it he believes, but some of it he doesn't really believe. But he has to say certain things to keep his persona going.
Now, mind you, you had a fan forum to discuss the very issue of signing Colin Kaepernick. I've never, ever heard of another owner, and they do these because, season ticket holders, they want to, hey, we're about the community and we love our fan base. I had never heard of a situation like this before.
Have you ever heard of a situation of a quarterback starting a protest where he decided to take one knee during the national anthem, Shannon? When you set a precedent in one way, other precedents get set subsequently.
Skip, and Rob, it's just disappointing that first it was about he couldn't play.
These pro-black niggas is always talking about how things are disappointing. At this point, when the same thing keeps happening over and over and over again, how could you be disappointed by it unless you have unreasonable expectations?
So now that narrative is gone. It's not that he couldn't play. Now it's about a tweet. Then it was about he was a vegan. Then you had one of his quarterback coaches said he was lazy and he couldn't learn. I mean, we just keep changing the story. How about just go ahead and tell the truth? What he did, we felt what he did was so egregious and so unpatriotic, because the worst thing you can be is unpatriotic.
Apparently.
He was so unpatriotic, we want no parts of him on our team.
Well, I mean, it's very common in any situation when you demand loyalty that you will overlook a person's shortcomings other than a lack of loyalty. And for all intents and purposes, America associates patriotism. Patriotism is really just a way of saying nationalistic loyalty, right? Once somebody shows you that they're not loyal to you, you're not willing to overlook their other faults or shortcomings, right? Look, guys, I just approach these situations objectively and trying to establish some form of rationale, because these guys, they're speaking completely according to their emotions. And this is why you have these circular conversations that go nowhere. It's very, very simple. America is set up on a prison industrial complex base. And this is why you have the propagation of drugs in the so-called minority communities, because they want so-called blacks and people of color to go through the prison system. That adds billions to the economy, as well as bringing in so-called illegal immigrants to work the farms. And they're the ones who are involved in most of the farming in America are the so-called illegal immigrants or illegal aliens. It's all about the money. So, when these guys keep trying to have these emotional conversations about what the Constitution promised them, it's very simple. Our people need to have their own police force and our own hospitals. and watch how many of these problems go away.
He's labeled worse than a domestic abuser. He's labeled worse than a sexual predator. He's labeled worse than someone that abused or mistreated dogs or the elderly. What Colin Kaepernick, it's hard for me to believe, Skip, but it's becoming abundantly clear that what Colin Kaepernick did in the eyes of some is the most egregious act you can do in America. A silent protest. A country that was founded on protest. He harmed no one.
The country was not founded on protest. The country was founded on revolution. All right. Shannon keeps using words and terms inappropriately. He called what Muhammad Ali did a protest. Now he's calling the American Revolution a protest. It was not a protest. It was a revolution. All right. America was founded on the same thing that most of these pro-black people online are scared to do, which is revolt. They claim they hate the oppressor so much, but they won't revolt. They just talk shit all day. Same thing with Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp would rather kill himself than revolt, because that would mean that he would lose his Caucasian woman. All right. He's just talking on TV. And look, I got love for Shannon. I just think that he's bugged out of his mind on false ideologies. Same way I got love for Stephen A. Smith. You know, I really just feel sorry for a lot of these guys, because in their heart of hearts, as Skip Bayless would say, they really think that they're on point.
One to 2 minutes before the game, I find it very ironic. The only time you hear the national anthem is at sporting events. They don't play when you go to your regular job. Why do they only play that at sporting events?
Because the sporting events are rituals that go back to the Babylonian and Egyptian mystery school system. They were in commemoration of Cush, Nimrod, and Semiramis. All right, believe it or not. This is where the gladiatorial games came from. They were in commemoration of Nimrod in his characteristic as Mars, right, the god of war. Right? They would fight. The gladiators would fight each other, and one of them would kill the other one, and that would be a blood sacrifice to Nimrod, right? As he was known in the Semitic world as Baal. He demanded a blood sacrifice. All right. Saturn, which is another name for Nimrod, demanded a blood sacrifice. Saturn is the Roman name for, meaning the hidden one, as he was known in Egypt as Amun-Ra. Right? Like, I got a lot of these little silly Kemet dudes that are going to come on my channel talking about Amun-Ra is the same as Amen from the Bible. No, it is not. A lot of these guys, they don't do any real research. They don't understand etymology. You have to understand, when you study phonetics and the origins of words, you could have the same word in one culture that has a completely disparate and different meaning in another culture, because there's only so many ways that you can pronounce words. All right. There are only so many sounds that the human mouth can make. Okay. So when you look at the god Amun-Ra in the ancient Kemetic culture, who was Amun-Ra? That is a composite of Nimrod and Noah, because Noah is Ra of the ancient world. He is the ultimate bright sun in the sky. He is the person who preserved man. That's why he was known in the so-called Hindu mythology as Vishnu. All right, half man, half fish, the preserver. Right, Vishnu really means Noah, the man of rest. Okay. In the Sanskrit language, you add a V onto the front, but really when you take the V off, it's Ish Na. Right, Ish meaning man, Na or Nawak meaning rest. All of the cultures have the same understanding about history. It's just that the Bible is the only one that gives it to you straight. A lot of brothers will disagree with that. That's okay. All right. But when you have the character of Akhenaten, who people try to claim is Moses, a lot of these lame brain, low level Kemet dudes, they try to claim that he's Moses. The philosophy of Akhenaten and Moses being the same person, that does not even come from historians or archaeologists. That came from Sigmund Freud. That's why I always laugh when these guys talk about how Akhenaten and Moses are the same person. All Akhenaten was somebody who, when I give him credit, he realized that all of these gods in the Egyptian pantheon were talking about the same 2 or 3 people. All right. So this is why he just removed all those gods and just worship Aten. All right. But that's neither here nor there. That's a whole other topic for another day. But point being is that the reason why you play the national anthem before these sporting events is because the sporting events are rituals that are played out in commemoration of Nimrod. All right. This is why, like I mentioned in the past, you have the character of Uncle Sam, right? Which is the giant man with the goatee. Who is Uncle Sam? That's for Samael, right? Who was the patron angel of the Roman Empire, right? That's the goat god, the god of destruction. That's why Uncle Sam has the goatee. Okay, modern day America, and I should say the modern day European / Western civilization is just the regeneration of the Imperial Roman Empire. All right. So all of these games that are played in commemoration of Nimrod, right? Even when you have like the bullfights, what are the bullfights in commemoration of? They're also for Nimrod. That's why, as Baal, he was known as the bull god, the god with the bull. In Egypt, he was known as the Apis bull, right? I believe even in Babylon, Marduk was associated with the bull, if I remember correctly. All right. Remember, the bull horns represent leadership. The horns on the head represent leadership. OK. That's where you get the character of the Minotaur from. Remember, the Minotaur on Crete, the kingdom of Crete was led by King Minos or Manes. Who is that? That is Cush. He had the Minotaur trapped in the labyrinth. All right. The Minotaur represents Nimrod. OK. That's why you have what you call Pan's labyrinth. Who is Pan? Pan is talking about the half man, half goat. You see how it all connects together? Okay. Pan is Cush. He was the great teacher. He's also known in Egypt as Thoth or Tahuti, or he's also known as Pharaoh Manes. Pharaoh Manes and Pharaoh Narmer, they were the first people to rule in a co-regency, father and son. Manes was Cush. Narmer was Nimrod. That's what the name Nimrod means. Narmer Marad, the subduer of the leopard. That's why if you ever study the Osirian or mysteries of Osiris, the priest of Osiris always wore the leopard skin cloak. Right? Over here in the Americas, you had the Mayans. The Mayans, they were brothers. They were Israelites. They were so-called black men, but they were following after the ways of the Assyrians and the Egyptians. That's why they would wear the jaguar skin cloak. Okay, but that's a whole nother story for another day. I'll probably do a video on the Mayans on a later date. But just to answer Shannon's question, the reason why you play the national anthem before these sporting events is because the sporting events they are looked at as spiritual ceremonies or spiritual rituals. All right, to honor the gods. Who are the gods talking about? Nimrod, Cush, and Semiramis, and a lot of the people who followed them. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to what he's talking about.
Are sporting fans the only ones that are patriotic?
Not only that, Shannon, do you know how many broadcasts jump out of the national anthem to play commercials and don't even show it on the air?
But here's the thing
most.
And here's the thing that I find most ironic. You remember the guy on Monday night used to sing the Monday night intro? He said John Boehner, former Speaker of the House, and President Obama was playing golf. He said it's like Hitler playing with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. They paused for a second without, are you saying John Boehner is Benjamin Netanyahu and President? He was suspended. Relieved of his duty, he wasn't singing the lead in the Monday Night Football. Skip, I want you to tell me, I will give you one guess, who will sing the lead in for Monday Night Football on September 11th. I give you one guess, Skip.
The same guy.
You see? Boy, I keep telling you, when you're black, Skip, it's like shackles.
You see how Shannon always makes those allusions, right? How he always tries to compare being black to being oppressed. No, sir. Being black is like being shackled for you, because you look at the so-called Caucasian as a paragon for you to aspire to. You try to hide that true sentiment behind your fake pro-blackness. Like I said, these guys, they fool a lot of people, but they don't fool me.
You're held more accountable for your actions. But a lot of times when you white or you are male white, it's like cobwebs, you brush it off.
Now you see he snuck his feminist leanings in there too. Once again, the liberal pro-black movement, that's a package deal that comes along with the feminism and the homosexual rights. All right. A lot of these pro-blacks, they talk all the pro-black shit, but they also believe in female superiority over the man, as well as the gay and lesbian movement. Please be aware of that.
See,
that's why I said when you go on the Black Lives Matter website, what are they talking about on their website? They're not talking about the issues that are really going on culturally in the so-called black community. They're talking about how much they can advance black lesbianism, black homosexuals, black transgenders. All right. A lot of you guys, you don't read, you don't research. So you get caught up, in the fanfare of these bullshit movements, and you have no idea what they really think about you.
See, they deem what Colin Kaepernick did. He called President Obama, he was referring to President Obama as Adolf Hitler. Colin Kaepernick in silent protest, and we're going to talk about Michael Bennett, unfortunate incident with the police. And I want to see Steve Bisciotti, because he was very outspoken. I want to see Jerry Jones. I want to see I want to hear John Barrow. I can't wait to get, I just wish we could have just preempted this one. Like, we got to cut into our regular scheduled program because this was breaking news. I wish we could have done that. Because I want to see. Because they talk about, it don't happen to you. What are you talking about? Colin Kaepernick makes $16 million. Michael Bennett makes $12 million. And they threw him on the ground. But go ahead, Rob. I can't wait to get to that topic. I can't wait. I'm going to.
These guys are like comedians. And this is why I say Shannon Sharpe is a performer on television. Here's a quick question. How could Michael Bennett have been the victim of racial profiling when he was in a black club? Quote unquote black club. That's what somebody needs to explain to me. How could you be the victim of racial profiling when everybody around you was the same race as you? Somebody please help me out with that.
I'm going to say I'm just disappointed in Ray Lewis, just from the standpoint of all people should have some compassion because he went through his own trials and tribulations.
Correct.
And he could have been treated a certain way. And he was with friends, wasn't right? Yeah.
What did Ray Lewis say in that segment to denote that he was being hypocritical in regard to his own situation? He led by saying that he was proactively trying to help Colin Kaepernick get a job. I guarantee you, Rob Parker, you have not made any calls to any NFL owners trying to inquire about Colin Kaepernick. So I have no idea what he's talking about and why he's disappointed in Ray Lewis. And you see how quickly Shannon Sharpe agreed with him. Once again, this situation with Colin Kaepernick, Shannon Sharpe is using it for his own gain. I do believe that he's caught up in the liberal pro-black vortex. And Colin Kaepernick now is like his muse. He's so enraptured by Colin Kaepernick. It's rather pathetic, Shannon Sharpe is. But we see he has the tendency to get wrapped up in young black men because we already see how he views LeBron James. So it's just very unfortunate.
Who were involved in this murder case and everything. And the notion that this league, which has made excuses and filled with guys, felons and drug abusers and womenizers and women abusers and all the other stuff, child abuse. We could go through the whole list. Mm-hmm.
And how many of those guys, whether it was Adrian Peterson or Dante Stallworth or any of these guys who've been caught up in these situations, even Ray Rice, when they were trying to get a job with an NFL team, had their significant other, so-called significant other, send out a tweet stating that the owner of such and such team was a slave master for not signing my husband. Please tell me about that one, Rob Parker.
Vehicular manslaughter, all kinds of things. Shake it all off. And then you're going to hold this on Colin Kaepernick and a T-shirt on a tweet as the ultimate on why you can't make this happen or forgive a guy to say, I'm not feeling that, or give him an option to say, that was wrong, that was a mistake, we're frustrated.
Why would you give him an option to say something when he's already shown that he's not going to say anything? Colin Kaepernick has not said anything even for his so-called cause. So what makes you think that he's going to come out and condemn his handler for making a statement? Right? She was doing what she's supposed to do. She's trying to bring chaos into his life. Right? The woman will do whatever you allow her to do.
She was frustrated. Those things happen.
Yes.
People make mistakes. It's not the end of the world. Right.
No, sir. A mistake is when you step on somebody's toe. A mistake is not when you create a very, very disrespectful meme and send it out purposefully on social media for attention and to bring discord. That was not a mistake.
World, right. And to use that as the reason is just wrong. And this is the part that I wish people would understand. His cause is a good cause, and that there's been loss. It's all about this. And then all the other people who took part in the protest and continue to take, they play. It can't be the end all be all, because those guys who were with him last year protested are still in the league and still have. It can't be. Did the fans not cancel their season tickets because of those guys?
Isn't Eric Reed still taking a knee for San Francisco to safety?
So.
I think he is.
He did.
I would wonder how many high-profile quarterbacks are taking knees. I don't know. I mean, somebody would have to tell me. Are there any other high-profile quarterbacks in the NFL right now taking a knee in solidarity with Colin Kaepernick and his Black Lives Matter / George Soros movement?
He did.
The preseason game.
Yeah. But that's my point. I can't buy it. And then when I hear, this is my other part that bothers me is when they talk about the fans. I just think the owners discount black fans, that they don't matter,
Of course.
that they don't matter, and I think it's wrong. When I ever hear that fans don't like, fans don't like it, they're not going to come to the games, they're not going to watch them. Really?
Right.
And black fans don't matter? If you were to go in a town hall meeting, right, in the black part of town with your NFL fans and ask them about Colin Kaepernick,
Go to Atlanta.
go
to
down
New
there and
Orleans.
ask them and say, are you bothered by it? No.
That's a valid point, but I would like to know what would be the demographic breakdown? What's the percentage of Caucasian fans, conservative Caucasian fans, versus the so-called black fans that they claim would be in such solidarity with Colin Kaepernick? And what is the financial bottom line behind all that? I say all that why? Because that's what the owners would say. All right? A lot of you guys out there will probably get emotional. So who cares? Who cares what the white man think? You know, why you worry about? Nigga, look, I have no time for buffoonery. Okay, I deal with reality. I don't deal with emotional bullshit. Okay? If a dude comes to me and tells me that he's constantly having problems with his woman, they've been arguing for months and months over the same issue, bruh, it's probably time for you to think about something different. Since you're coming to ask me, I'm not trying to involve myself in your relationship, but if you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth. So-called blacks and so-called Caucasians have been having these circular arguments for years. Mostly, the so-called black man is going to have to consider reality. I never hear any of you guys talk about having our own police force, our own school system, our own hospitals. All right, black people always want to complain about how, the hospitals, they kill black people, the police, they mistreat black people. So, okay, so then how come we haven't tried to get our own? I don't know. You tell me. Let me know, because you guys are the ones who are supposed to be so pro-black, right?
We're proud of him. There's an epidemic going on in the streets of America, and we're okay. We still admire him as a football player, and this notion...
Bullshit. Colin Kaepernick had 1 foot out the league until that whole protest. These guys are acting like he's damn... like he was Randall Cunningham with the Minnesota Vikings or something. Like he was somebody who was really pushing the needle. No, he was not. Colin Kaepernick had 1 foot out of the NFL. He was a guy who was looked at as a malcontent in the locker room.
That you can only be one thing at one time is ridiculous.
Okay? Back to the issue at hand. Ray Lewis was wrong to post the video that he posted. Mm-hmm. She was wrong to post the response that she posted. The upshot of those two wrongs is it eliminated what I think was the last chance for Colin Kaepernick to get a job in this league in Baltimore. I think it was positioned for him to go there. I think Ray did have something to do with it. John Wooten, who runs the Fritz Pollard Alliance, overseeing the Rooney Rule, had a lot to do with it.
Yes, on the instructions of Jim Brown, who's puppeting them both.
they were on the verge of also trying to create a summit, recreate what they had in 1967 for Muhammad Ali when Jim Brown, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who else? Bill Russell came
Bill Russell, yeah.
and stood literally behind Muhammad Ali at a meeting.
Those four.
Yeah, Bill Russell, who also today is with a Caucasian woman. You notice how all these these activists, you know, how they always end up with the Caucasian woman, or, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell. You know, Jim Brown is with a black woman today, but during that time period, he was running around with the CIA operative Gloria Steinem. No.
Four was at the table.
You know, and they were going to do that for Colin. I think they're going to try to get LeBron to come, and obviously the biggest names in the NFL. And as soon as she posted what she did, John Wooten called me, and I reported on the show. He said, "You can quote me on this. I'm out." It really offended him. He's very old school, but he thought, gee, we've done we're trying to do so much, and that was Ray's attitude. But Ray was a Twitter victim because he had been on here with us that morning, and you went at it hard. You guys are about as brotherly as non-brothers could ever be.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And it got pretty rough for a while. It got testy. But
I don't think it got rough. I thought that Ray handled himself well. I thought that he made Shannon look like a fool. But, you know, Shannon doesn't care because he has the internet revolutionaries backing him. Shannon doesn't really need to know what he's talking about. It's like getting into an argument with a woman. Right? The woman doesn't feel like she needs to have any type of logic backing her argument, just pure emotion. That's why I tell you, brothers, not to digress, but you don't go back and forth with women. They either get it or they don't. Very, very simple.
it was great. It was
real.
It was real, and it was progressive. I learned a lot from both of you going back and forth. But then Ray read his Twitter responses, and he took them to heart, maybe to a fault. And as he left Fox, the first thing he says in the video that he posted is, "I just left the set at Fox." And here he went for the next 2 minutes. And the first big point he made was a point that I've heard from John Wooten of the Fritz Wallet Alliance, and I'm sure several of the owners have had this issue with Colin going forward, is, where are you? Speak up, speak out, tell us where your head and your heart are right now.
Well, he's not going to do that because he has instructions that he has to follow. I've said this over and over and over again. Anytime you see a person who's put themselves in a position of prominence or leadership or protest, like a Colin Kaepernick, and he's scared or he seems hesitant to state his case, why is that? It's because he's being controlled. It's not that difficult to figure out.